I'm Chantal Gurley, and I'm a second year here at PCC. Before I get started, I thought I would make you guys aware of, which you guys probably already know, that PCC, yes, is a special place where you get to learn more about yourself and other people and like push yourself to your limits, but also you gain new perspectives. So my goal here is to talk about a rather touchy subject in hopes that all of you will gain a new perspective, because I kind of researched into this topic and learned a lot more than I thought would be possible. The subject, as you can see, is racial and religious profiling. You hear a lot about racial profiling in the news because of everything that's going on today, but you don't hear a lot about religious profiling, which is interesting because it's also a major problem today. But let's start with a simple definition of racial profiling. You can find this when you pull out your devices on Google, which just saying it's not exactly the best source to go with because media isn't always correct. But it says racial profiling, the use of race or ethnicity as grounds for suspecting someone of having committed an offense. Okay, that's if you look it up on Google. But there's many definitions. So including, according to the American Civil Liberties Union, racial profiling refers to, and I quote, the discriminatory practice by law enforcement officials, sounds accurate, of targeting individuals for suspicion of crime based on the individual's race, ethnicity, religion, or national origin. That sounds more like what we know today, right? But some say that it's critical and it's important that we have racial profiling for law enforcement's job. It helps make assumptions to spot down who's doing the crimes, because yes, there is certain statistics that can prove it correctly, but others completely deny its existence. We just got away from this. Why are we going back to it? But let's talk about the history, because you have to know the history to know any subject. Well, first of all, it started in the late 90s, most of you know. This wasn't really, some of us weren't really born for it, but others are. Late 1900s, first, San Diego was the first place to become aware of data and how minorities can affect the law. So they started taking records and everything. That was the first spot that they made that. But also, they're making countless pointless traffic stops to young black men and women for minor things that were just unimportant. So eventually, the Department of Justice in 2003, as it is up here, issued guidance prohibiting racial and ethnic profiling by federal law enforcement, which is characterized as invidious discrimination, undermining our commitment to liberty and justice for all. But besides racial discrimination, a lot of us don't realize the religious side of it, which is we base someone off of appearances and what we've noticed as past experiences. So, for example, we all know what happened at 9/11. It's not okay, it's not acceptable. We think about it quite often. It affects all of us. But when we see someone who looks as if they would be of Muslim belief, we make the assumption. There is a common denominator when people associate terrorism and all Muslims, which is just not right, whether we're conscious of it or not. But let's talk a little bit about racial profiling versus racism, because believe it or not, there is a difference. Racial profiling, here's a little definition as well. Racial profiling is often taking what a person knows from previous experiences, including what media shows, which I guess I said before isn't always accurate, to make assumptions on a person's appearance, right? All right, sounds right. But here's the difference. Racism is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior. All right, so we've all heard of that. But to make it a little bit more clear, crystal clear, I'm going to put you in a scenario, I'm going to ask you a question. Let's all pretend we're all limo drivers, okay? Hear me out. We're all limo drivers. Our job is to pick up an NBA player from the airport. Okay, I don't know this person. I don't know what they look like. I don't know for what team they play. I'm just looking for an NBA player to pick up from the airport. What do you guys picture in your head? Anybody? Tall,
black guy.
tall black? Right. Are you racist? Am I racist? Are any of us in this room racist? No. He didn't, I'm sorry, what's your name, sir? Mr.
Alright.
Okay, see, Mr. R did not, he's not coming to the client with any discrimination or any type of prejudice in his heart. It's just the assumption that we make because that's the two and two that we tie together. That's the difference. That's racial profiling versus racism. And the problem with today is that there is a line between the two, but people think of it as such a thin line that they cannot tell the difference. So, does it make racial profiling okay? I don't know. That's up to you. But I can say that it does. It's something that we do, whether we're conscious of it or not, and it does affect today. It really does. You see it in the media all the time. But is that racism that we're seeing, or is it racial profiling? So the best thing to do is to spread news, become aware, maybe have the same talks, spread perspective as well. But also know your rights. Know your rights. Know that when a police officer pulls you over, there's certain things that they can ask you for, and there's certain things they can't. But so racial profiling can be harmless as long as we're all aware of the existence that's there. So that's it.